Students, we shall start our second module, melting and metal mold casting methods. Here you can see two words, so the melting part and metal mold casting methods. So here the first part, and we have divided into two parts. Okay, so in melting we look into the furnace, classification of furnace, starting with gas fired pit furnace, resistant furnace, coreless induction furnace, electric arc furnace, its constructional features and working principle. See, only these two concepts we will discuss: constructional features and working principle of gas fired, resistance, coreless induction, electric and cupola. You can see here one more. Total how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 forms of furnace. Okay. So for this we will discuss the constructional features and one more, it is working principle. Working principle. So these two topic we will cover, and the second part, casting using metal molds. So we have gravity die casting, pressure die casting, centrifugal casting, squeeze casting, slush casting, Thixow casting and continuous casting process. So what are the methods that we are following in casting? So first part we shall consider, that is melting furnace. What does it mean, melting furnace? So if you want to get an end product in casting, you should pour the molten metal. So how to melt this metal? And you know that casting can be done to any metal which can melt. So if it is able to melt, if it able to convert into a liquid form, then definitely we can cast it. Okay, so here the melting process will be carried out in this furnace. Okay. Here a refractory lined metallic shell. So remember, refractory lined metallic shell, where the conversion takes place from solid to liquid with the application of heat. We call it as an furnace. So in simple words, I can write refractory lined metallic shell. This is a constructional feature of a furnace. For every furnace you will find this part, refractory lined metallic shell, where you will input your scrap or raw material, where the heating will be carried out and you will melt that. Okay, next, the next part is classification. See, this is a very important part, how the furnaces are being classified. We have the two titles based on the type of metal that it can melt and based on the source of heat. So we have the first variation. If I consider gray cast iron, see, this gray cast iron can be melted in cupola furnace, electric arc furnace and air or evaporatory furnace. So for this, the source of heat will be different. Okay, so if I consider and a gray cast iron. Following are the classification of furnace where I can melt only the gray cast iron. So in case if you want to melt steel, again we have the further classification: open hearth furnace, electric furnace. So in that electric we have arc and high frequency induction furnace. So this is the first and second is for ferrous metal. If you want to melt non-ferrous material, for example aluminium, so we have crucible furnace. So in crucible we have two types: pit and electrical resistance type. Okay, and we have reverberatory furnace, that is fuel fired, rotary furnace, and induction furnace. Induction again of two: low frequency and high frequency, and electric arc furnace. So here we will cover most of the furnace. So in case if you want to melt non-ferrous material, following are the classification. And based on the source of heat, if you are using a fuel as a source of heat, so in that fuel also we have gas fired furnace, oil fired furnace, coke fired furnace, and air furnace. And the second variation it is electrical furnace. So if you are supplying the current, so we have following categories coming under the source of heat as an electrical current. So that is reverberatory furnace, induction, arc. So in that arc we have direct and indirect type. So further I have made very simple so that you can understand the classification. So the fuel, based on the source of it, the fuel could be, it could be coke, nothing but solid lump, oil, gas, electricity, it will be the source. And type of metal being melted, so you can see cast iron and non-ferrous. So in this cast iron and non-ferrous you will use only coke as a fuel. So non-ferrous alloys and iron you can use oil. So here you can see steel also included. Gaseous, again it can be used for non-ferrous, iron as well as steel. Electricity, steel, cast iron, non-ferrous alloys, iron, steel. So this will be the steel has been repeated twice, you just strike it off. And where exactly this coke will be used? Cupola, crucible or pit furnace. Oil, it can be used in crucible, open hearth. Gas can be used in crucible and open hearth. Power, that is electric arc, resistance, induction. So this is also a classification of furnace. So you cannot use electricity for a cupola furnace. Cupola, the raw material, it will be a cast iron and the source of it will be the coke. Okay, classification. Next we shall move on to the first variation, that is gas fired. So here we shall discuss the constructional features. See, I always repeat, if you understand the sketch, your 50 to 60% of work is done. If you understand, the sketch is very simple, it's not complicated, simple to understand. If you remember this sketch and if you try to replicate the same in the exam, see the same, you will have a chance of better marks. So draw a neat sketch. Okay, let me start the constructional features. So when you notice, you can see a furnace. Okay, this is the outer shell. I gave a definition of refractory line, metallic furnace. So this was my simple definition for furnace. If you see here, it is a refractory line, just a metallic shell. so that we call it as an furnace. Here when you notice the first variation in gas fired pit furnace, you could see that a refractory line. So you can see the refractory lining, that is the brick, you can the shaded portion, and this complete we can call it as an furnace. This is a shell portion, and again to this furnace we have furthermore constructions. Okay, and if you see, it is has been immersed inside the ground, kept under the ground. Okay, and again here the bottom of the furnace has a refractory block to avoid the escape of heat, which act as a pedestal. So here even in the bottom you will be having a refractory block. So here the crucible is usually made up of silicon carbide. So the crucible is made up of silicon carbide, and we have further arrangement, and we have a vent where the hot gases will be escaped. You can see the vent where the gases will be escaped. So this is the construction portion. So very simple construction. We have a crucible which is kept inside the refractory lining, that metallic shell, and we have a supply of gas and air, and here so the heating action will take place, and in order to escape the hot gas we have a vent. So we shall discuss its working principle. So here the fuel used will be, I will write natural gas or liquid propane. So this will be the fuel which will be used, and it will be directed in an angle along with air. Okay, you can see the flow of fuel, okay, direct towards the metallic furnace. So what will happen? So this will create a flame which will heat it. Okay, so heating will be carried out inside. And due to this heating process, what will happen? Whatever the crucible, the raw material kept inside this crucible, due to this heat it will start to melt. Then you can open this lid. After complete melting, you can open this lid and lift the crucible, and you can pour the molten metal inside the crucible to the mold cavity, and finally you can obtain your end product. So very simple construction as well as working principle. So when you direct the natural gas or liquid propane through a passage, so when the heating takes place, so that will create, there will be a flame. So that flame will heat the crucible, and the raw material which will be kept inside the crucible, it will start to melt. So the heat will be beyond its melting temperature, so it will start to melt, and later once the melting is done, we can open this lid and take the crucible, and we can pour the molten metal inside the crucible to the mold cavity. So this is the first variation, that is gas fired pit crucible. The next is, we have resistance furnace. So if you check the resistance furnace, let me write down the constructional features. You can notice it consists of a series of current carrying coils inside the refractory bricks. So consists of series of current carrying coil inside the refractory brick. So this will be the initial construction, and again you can notice the same crucible sorry crucible placed inside the furnace. So this is a second construction feature. So inside this crucible you will be having ingots or the charge or the melt scrap, any scrap, metal scrap or raw material. If you want to melt, you can place inside this crucible. And so again you have a refractory lining, so that is a metallic steel shell. So it has been, so it is have a steel shell. So it has a steel shell. So the same procedure in the previous case, if you notice, we have supplied natural gas or liquid propane. When it heated, the flame will be created. The flame again further it will heat the crucible as well as the ingot or the charge inside the crucible, and it will melt. Okay, so if you see the classification, so in gaseous it can be used to melt non-ferrous alloy, iron or steel. So you can also, the furnace used will be the crucible or pit furnace. And the second one that we are discussing is resistance furnace. Okay, the source of fuel will be the current. Okay, what can be melted? Steel, cast iron, non-ferrous alloy as well as iron. So here, as I mentioned, crucible will be made up of silicon carbide. The same here. So the construction is same, but the source of apply of heat, how we are getting the source of heat is different. So previous it was by the application of liquid propane or natural gas, but here due to the current. Okay, so for that we should understand the working principle. So then only we will understand what is this resistance furnace, how this resistance to the current will melt the metal. So let me take a new page. So I will write down the working principle of resistance furnace. See, when the current is switched on, what will happen? The melting starts. Okay, how So when the electric current flows through the resistor or the coil, the heating coil. So let me write, when the current flows through the resistor, or you can call the same as heating coil. So let me show. So if you see the sketch, so this is the cut section process. It will be in circular in nature. Okay, so the coil will, if you have noticed the winding, so the coil will be in this format. It will be completely circulated the furnace. If I consider this as a furnace, so coil will, if this is a shell, okay, the coil will be completely circular, so covered the furnace in a circular shape. So when the current flows through the heating coil, what will happen? So there will be a generation of heat, generation of heat due to the resistance offered. This is the basic fundamental that you should know, due to the resistance offered. So resistance offered by the material. Okay, so this is a simple concept. When the current flows through the resistor or the heating coil, so there will be an heat will be generated. Why? Because there will be an a resistance to the flow of current. Okay, so it can be represented in a simple equation, that is Q is equal to I square RT. So what is this Q? Q is nothing but the heat obtained. Okay, the heat generated, the rate of heat generated, the rate of heat generated. Whereas I, that your current in amps, R resistance, so the unit is ohm, and T is the time, which is in second. So the heat generated will depends upon the current flowing. When the current is more, you will be having more heat generated, more heat will be generated. So this is the concept. More frequency, you will get more current. That is all about resistance furnace. The same setup, if you see in the gas fired pit furnace, the same setup has been kept, but the source of heat is different. So here the heat is liberated due to the resistance to the flow of current. So that is the concept in resistance furnace. And we have one more variation, that is induction furnace. I hope all know the basic fundamental of induction. Anyone? So here I will start explaining the constructional feature first. Later, while explaining the working principle, you will understand the concept of induction. Okay. So the constructional feature. Constructional. Again, you can notice here we have an outer cylinder steel shell. You can see that outer cylinder steel shell, which is hinged at a bottom to we have an the same portion. uh, so this is an steel shell, okay, and we have an refractory packing, okay, so it will avoid to escape the heat, okay, so that is why we are using this refractory packing. So you can use sand, or here you can also use brick in order to use as a refractory packing, okay. And you can see a copper coil, okay, so this is the copper coil which will be uh, assembled, okay, in a circular form, okay, so that is the construction of this uh, induction furnace. The main important is this copper coil which will act as, I will just write down, so the coil that we use as a copper coil, so that is a primary circuit. I hope you remember now the primary and the secondary circuit. You will provide the current to the primary, and what will happen in the secondary, how the eddy current will be generated, so we shall discuss in working principle, okay. Just let me write down. It consists of outer cylindrical steel shell, so it will be hinged at the bottom, okay, so the steel shell will be hinged. You can see here it is hinged at the bottom in order to provide tilting, okay. And so it will be insulated, okay, insulated. The inside surface will be insulated. So we are using mica or asbestos to insulate the inside surface, and you can see the refractory packing. And again we have the bottom refractory, that is a brick. So we are using brick in order to avoid heat to escape, so that is the brick material that we are using. So that those will be the insulation will be like very bad conductor material that we are using. So, and we have copper coil for carrying current. So this will act as a primary circuit, okay. So this is all about the constructional feature of an induction surface. Now, so let us come to the working principle. Now you can notice what does this eddy current, what will happen when the current is supplied to the primary coil. See, so here in this sketch, if you see, this is a copper coil. The which I am highlighting is a copper coil where it acts as a primary circuit where you will supply the current. Okay, so copper coil acts as a primary, and the steel scrap. So here, if you check the sketch, so initially before melting, so this is a molten material, so steel scrap or ingots will be placed inside this, okay. So this ingots or this charge, you can call this by the name as an ingot, or you can term it as a charge, okay, or scrap, metal scrap, if you have kept inside, so that will act as a secondary circuit. So here copper coil as a primary and ingot bar charge as secondary, as a secondary circuit. Okay, so what will happen when the current is passed in the primary coil? So heat will be generated due to the resistance of the metal causing to flow. Like heat will be generated, heat will be heat will be generated due to the resistance of the metal. So this metal that we have kept inside the crucible will act as an resistance, okay, to the flow of current. So this in turn melt the metal. So why it acts as an resistance and how it is melted? So that is because of eddy current. So what will happen? Eddy current will be induced by EMF due to the stirring action which is concentrated at the center of a primary coil. So this is very simple process. When you supply the current in this copper coil, so the charge kept inside the furnace, what will act? It will act as an resistance to the flow of current. So the eddy current will be induced here, where it will generate more heat and the the metal will start to melt. So by that you will get a molten metal. So this is about induction furnace, and we have one more variation, that is electric arc furnace. And I hope you have heard the concept of welding, that electric arc welding we have discussed while doing the classification of manufacturing process. So it is also a form of manufacturing process where we will be discussing in detail in module 4 and 5. So there also we will discuss electric arc welding. The same principle has been used here, that is electric arc furnace. So there will be an arc struck between our charge as well as the electrode when we supply the power. Okay, so first, before that, we shall discuss the constructional features. Constructional features of electric arc furnace. So why we use this? We use mainly to melt steel. The purpose, okay, to melt steel. And you can see a dish-shaped steel shell that forms the main portion where melting takes place. This is the dish-shaped steel shell. Okay, we have dish-shaped steel shell. So where the melting will be carried out. Okay, so inside of this there will be a refractory lining of bricks, and you can see outer layer, it is a steel shell, and inside we have a brick. Okay, so let me write, inside we have a refractory lining, refractory lining, sorry, so refractory lining which is made up of brick. Okay, and the dish will rest on a semicircular gear arrangement to facilitate the tilting. So it will rest on the semicircular gear, so that tilting of 40 to 60 degree. So rest on semicircular so in order to provide tilting, so the angle will vary from 40 degree to 60 degree. Okay, so it can be tilted backwards so that we can remove the slag. And you can see the above the bottom earth a spout, you can see a spout. So this is the metal spout is provided for tapping out the molten metal. So if you want to remove the molten metal, if you want to take out the molten metal, so we have a tilt. So there is a spout construction where you can remove the molten molten metal. So while tilting for the metal to flow into a ladle, a pit has been made to rest the ladle. So you can tilt and this will pour into the ladle. The molten metal will pour into the ladle. And you can notice one more door which has been kept diagonally. If you see here the slag door where you can remove the slag. And we have, so this is graphite electrodes. You can see the graphite electrodes which will enter from the roof. Okay, so this is one more construction. And we can rise and lower by means of guides in order to what if you want to cancel this arc, you can if you give a more standoff distance, that option will be given to this graphite electrode. So these are all the constructions of an electric arc furnace. And what happens in working principle, you can see when the power is supplied, okay, an arc will struck an arc you can see an arc will struck between the electrode as well as the metal charge. So heat will be generated due to the resistance of metal charge. Okay, due to the resistance of the metal charge. And we will keep a distance of it will be point, so let me write here. So in general I could say the 2 to 3 mm distance, standoff distance, will create an electric arc between the charge and the electrode. Okay, so the gap between the charge and the electrode, it will be maintained in such a way that so that an arc will be struck. So due to this arc, so the heating will be takes place on the charge which will be kept inside. So initially you will be having a metal charge or ingot. So due to the electric arc struck between the electrode and the charge, so heating will be generated. So this heating will make the charge to melt. Once the melting is done, you can tilt this in order to remove the molten material. If you want to remove the slag, initial portion you will be having a slag which will be removed with the help of a slag door. So you can tilt in both the direction. So this is all about electric arc furnace. We have one more variation of indirect arc furnace as well as cupola furnace. So we shall discuss in the next class. So let me wind up here.